They were on a couch, watching TV, snuggling.
And?
Some people see therapists, but, they are
charging sometimes $200 an hour, and a 50-minute hour at that.
Others, such as Woody Allen, turn the camera on themselves, and that makes up at least some part of their therapy. My name is Bart, and I'm with the Truthtellers. In this episode, we'll be looking at the ancient origins of voiceover narration and Woody Allen's creative approach to it.
Thank you.
This man doesn't need much introduction. He's a symbol of auteur cinema, a New Yorker to the bone who started out writing jokes for newspapers, went on to performing them as a stand-up comedian, which eventually evolved into writing and directing his own films. His presence is prominent, but not overbearing. Maybe because...
And I certainly had done nothing to earn complete control. Nothing. I had complete control and have never done a movie in my life where I didn't have complete control of it.
Even if he's not in the film himself, he puts in a character that resembles those he usually plays.
There was something compelling about your apathy.
Woody Allen is also a lot like Robert De Niro in that it's in good taste to have his impression.
I think it's a great idea,
I think maybe you should just remember, but it's very funny. No, I see the point. I see.
10 years ago, that was mine too. I'm nauseous.
Woody says, would you mind shaving the sideburns? Is that much of a problem?
And given the type of characters he plays, it's only natural that he's become the face of the wear protective glasses warning sticker. His works sparkle with sharp and accurate one-liners, revealing much about the character's opinion on some of the most important topics in just a few words.
I'm old-fashioned. I don't believe in extramarital relationships. I think people should mate for life, like pigeons or Catholics.
There's marriage, life, love, and religion.
I finally had an orgasm, and my doctor told me it was the wrong kind.
There's blindly relying on doctors' opinions, social pressure, and sex life. And Freud is present in almost every joke.
They made some studies. I read in one of the psychoanalytic quarterlies. You don't need a male. I mean, two mothers are absolutely fine.
Really? Because I always feel very few people survive one mother.
You wouldn't call Woody Allen a voiceover fetishist, but when he does use it, he gets very creative. Besides making a great film in Mighty Aphrodite, Allen reveals the ancient origins of voiceover. That is the Greek chorus. Traditionally, it would offer background and summary information to help the audience follow the performance, but it also provided other characters with the insight they needed, just like some forms of modern voiceover.
But to understand the ways of the heart is to grasp as clearly the malice or ineptitude of the gods.
Eloquently and dynamically written, the Greek tragedy scenes contrast somewhat archaic wording, which emphasizes their theatricality, with modern American English.
Painful to relate that she thought he was nuts and did not want to meet him nohow. Stop bothering me, creep, was her cutting declaration. Then she used the F word.
Some lines of which just couldn't be more Allenese.
Children grow up, they move out, sometimes to ridiculous places like Cincinnati or Boise, Idaho. Then you never see them again.
Lenny Weinrib is about to do something which would most likely open a Pandora's box, so the chorus offers some invaluable advice.
Curiosity, that's what kills us. Not muggers or all that bullshit about the ozone layer. It's our own hearts and minds.
I'm gonna find out.
Please, Lenny, don't be a schmuck!
And as the two worlds intertwine...
You are breaking the law.
Breaking the law? There's a higher law. I can find out who my son's mother is.
The judge won't see it that way.
It becomes clear that the chorus is also his.
Who are you? I'm your motherfucking conscience.
It's all packed with hilarious punchlines that sound like they were specially written for stand-up comedy.
Look, here's a man who killed his father and slept with his mother.
I hate to tell you what they call my son in Harlem.
The 1979 Manhattan opens with the voice of Ike Davis, struggling to write the opening paragraph of his book. Notice the spectrum of emotions he's touching on and how he's leading the narration from metaphorical to egoistic.
He adored New York City. He idolized it all out of proportion. He romanticized it all out of proportion. Better. To him, no matter what the season was, this was still a town that existed in black and white and pulsated to the great tunes of George Gershwin. Let me start this over. Chapter 1. He was too romantic about Manhattan, as he was about everything else. He thrived on the hustle-bustle of the crowds and the traffic. To him, New York meant beautiful women and street-smart guys who seemed to know all the angles. No, corny, too corny for a man of my taste. Let me try and make it more profound. Chapter 1. He adored New York City. To him, it was a metaphor for the decay of contemporary culture. The same lack of individual integrity that caused so many people to take the easy way out was rapidly turning the town of his dreams and... No, it's going to be too preachy. I mean, let's face it, I want to sell some books here. Chapter 1. He adored New York City, although to him, it was a metaphor for the decay of contemporary culture. How hard it was to exist in a society desensitized by drugs, loud music, television, crime, garbage. Too angry. I don't want to be angry. Chapter 1. He was as tough and romantic as the city he loved. Behind his black-rimmed glasses was the coiled sexual power of a jungle cat. Oh, I love this. New York was his town, and it always would be.
If the character introduction in Manhattan was just a tasty starter, then Annie Hall's opening is a 3-course meal with a dessert.
Finally, monsieur, a waffle thin mint.
There's an old joke. 2 elderly women are at a Catskill Mountain resort, and one of them says, "Boy, the food at this place is really terrible." The other one says, "Yeah, I know, and such small portions." Well, that's essentially how I feel about life. Full of loneliness and misery and suffering and unhappiness, and it's all over much too quickly.
After this over a minute-long direct narration, you get a solid opinion on whether you like Elvis Singer or not. You learn about his views on life, politics, love, growing up, sex, religion, and whatnot. Alan juggles this on-off camera narration with an almost cartoon-like plasticity.
A high intensity, you understand? A hot medium.
What I
as
wouldn't
opposed
give for
to,
a large sock
as
with horse
opposed to
manure in
print,
it.
which you use is essentially
What do you
linear.
do when you get stuck
Or-
on a movie line with a guy like this behind you?
Wait a minute, why can't I
It's just
give my
maddening.
opinion? It's a free country.
And what's most interesting, somehow he's not pretentious.
I heard what you were saying. You know nothing of my work. You mean my whole fallacy is wrong. How you ever got to teach a course in anything is totally amazing.
Boy, if life were only like this.
The voiceover is also a vessel for his brilliant one-liners.
I remember the staff at our public school. We had a saying that those who can't do, teach, and those who can't teach, teach Jim.
And situation comedy.
And Ivan Ackerman, always the wrong answer. Always.
7 3 is 9.
He was close, though. And back to the on-off camera narration.
Boy, sometimes I wonder where my classmates are today.
I'm president of the Pincus Plumbing Company. I sell taluses. I used to be a heroin addict. Now I'm a methadone addict.
And my personal favorite.
I'm into leather.
One of the key elements of Alan's film's comic value is the self-bashing and ridiculing of one's own issues before anyone else does.
I would never want to belong to any club that would have someone like me for a member.
Sometimes through voiceover, sometimes directly into the camera, most often through the characters. Alan's writing hides nothing. His heroes inadvertently put their worst foot forward, but by doing so, they put Alan's best. There's one thing you gotta be in New York a little more than anywhere else in the world. You gotta be cool.
The universe is expanding.
And making viewers fall in love with this overly obsessed, neurotic New Yorker ultimate underdog? How cool is that?